All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of In Review with Three Dads and a Console. And today we're going to cover something that is personally fantastic to me, and I know it is to Wabba. We're going to cover Bluey, probably
Yeah.
the best show on television. I can say, you know what? Not probably. It is the best show on television for adults, for kids. It doesn't matter. You have Disney Plus. We all talk about how, it's got these great Marvel movies. It's got Loki. It's got all these shows we watch. I guarantee you the most watched show on Disney Plus is Bluey. We also have a fantastic returning guest, as always, Matt from Assemble.
I have new chair, and I'm very comfortable.
That is a new chair. It's a very nice chair.
It's very nice. It's ergonomical. It's got the adjustables on it and everything, and I got good lumbar support. My goodness, I'm having a great time. Thanks
Can't
for
wait.
having me.
Can't wait to ask you how your lumbar is in a month and see how it holds up.
It's quite lovely. I've been sitting on like a kitchen chair while it's been garbage for so long and just hard metal IKEA. And then my wife was nice, and she's like, "For your birthday, this is what you get, and all you get." But I did, Court. I got the pat on the back and the
Hey,
handshake.
good.
She
That's
said,
that's
"Happy
very
birthday."
good.
I was
That's
like,
awesome.
that was nice." Then just get back to work.
I got a
Thanks for having
handmade.
me. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to be able to talk Bluey with you guys
Yeah,
because, like you, it is a household favorite, and that is probably watched daily, and obviously not one episode like a crazy person.
yeah. That's honestly, it's kind of funny. I started rewatching them again with my daughter, and she started reciting lines, and I'm like, all right, we watch this a lot. We also have another fantastic guest, and dare say, the queen of Three Dads and a Console, the queen of the North.
Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys?
We are fantastic.
It's been a
Honestly,
while, but I
it,
listen to
it,
everything.
I see you walk by streams.
Yes.
She argues with me in the podcast. Like, I'll say something in the podcast that she's listening, and she's like, "You're wrong," and this is why. I'm like,
That's
you're
awesome.
like, that's not me. Like, that's not current me. That's past me.
Yeah.
But she's
So
not.
you're
She's
getting in
not. She's
trouble a
not
week
wrong.
later.
I'm like, yeah, I'm getting in trouble for things I forget I've said. Like, you guys know how it is.
Hey, wait. It could be worse. Literally every time our podcast drops, I get told how my opinion is wrong in our Discord repeatedly. So I wanted to ask a question of all of you. So I'm going to go around the horn here. Um, and I'm going to start with Queen. Why is this show so captivating to you?
I feel like this show is disguised for kids, but it's really for parents. And because it talks about parenting, it's not just about the kids playing, it's the kids playing with the parents. And I feel like that's how I grew up. My dad was very involved in me and my sister's lives, and I feel as though that's how I want to be with my daughter, and seeing it on TV is like, oh wow, it's not just the kids going off and playing and the parents in the background being like wah 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 wah. Like the kids take an active, what is it? Like an active, they're very active in their own kids' lives. Or I should say the parents. Did I say the kids? But
It's
it's the parents take an active approach in their kids' lives, always playing with them, all that. So that's where I'm coming from when I see it, and I don't know. It's just little things where I'm like, oh my god, the show. So,
yeah. He's banded as Dad of the Year.
Yep.
yeah,
Like 100%.
yeah,
It also, I dare say, has a great dynamic that it shows the mom as yes, the dad works from home, but if when they talk about work, besides a couple episodes, it's more talking about the mom going off to work every day.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because yeah, so we get that dynamic of showing an empowered woman on the show, and it shows a little girl like my daughter that it's okay that you
yeah,
can go off to work and do that.
yeah.
Matt, I ask you, why is it so important in your family?
I think it's very similar to you guys too. Like we can all relate that it puts you in kind of a spot as a parent and as young parents. You're watching the dad and the mom go full out play and teaching lessons and all of that through it, like just sprinkling it in as you go. And they kind of get you to just look and reflect and be like, lighten up a little bit and go like play more, engage more with your kids on a real level. Get into all of it when they're trying to do their imagination and the heat, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna make the French fry stand. And the dad's outside selling chips. And even today we're watching like Xylophone or no, we're watching like which one was it? Freeze. And he's got it was
Yeah,
Xylophone and he freezes
magic
them every time.
telephone.
Yeah, and he manages Xylophone and he freezes them every time. And it's stuff like that, and it's not just like, oh, if it's in reality and you were playing that, the dad would freeze for like a second or two and then you're done. Like it's the commitment of how the dad is like he goes for the whole thing and then mom goes off to work. It's like let him go to the bathroom and unpause him.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, like you guys are saying, it's every episode has lessons in it very much for the adults, and the kids are heavily involved, but I get that Toy Story vibe and Pixar vibe where you're like, there's the comedy and all of that and the layers to it in short little episodes that, yeah, they work for the adults and obviously they work for the kids and the kids start reciting it. The question I have, I know Court will go around more, but the question I do have for you guys was, I couldn't think of one, but can you think of any other show, as we've grown up with literally everything from the 80s and 90s from cartoons, probably predominantly The Simpsons, as a kind of almost as close as you can get, I think. But is there anything that stands out to you as like you can compare this show to something else that you grew up with? Because I can't. I think the only thing that for context is The Simpsons, but even that I don't know if that's really a great example because I mean, for what The Simpsons are.
Yeah, and there's not there are tiny examples of parenting. I know a show that I would love to rewatch because I know my parents watched it with me, was Bobby's World. That my parents really enjoyed. And that's as soon as you asked that question, that's the first thing that popped in my mind was Bobby's World, because I know Howie Mandel wrote that as a character that he
Mm.
does in his stand up, and if you actually see him in stand up,
Yeah,
he does Bobby,
he
and
does it. Yeah,
he does swearing with Bobby, and it's pretty hilarious. But um, that show does have a lot of family values in it as a cartoon.
yeah.
But I think Bluey is the first one that I have ever seen, and I'm not a young spring chicken here, that has ever hit it so well. Like you mentioned Magic Xylophone. In that episode, you have Bluey ignoring Bingo throughout the whole episode. You keep hearing these jokes, and actually Bingo being ignored and being not listened to is almost a theme throughout the whole first season. And then it gets to the episode The Dump, where the dad finally listens to Bingo because he's at a red light and it turns green and Bingo keeps saying it, and his dad's saying how he's like the best driver in the world. And his dad finally realizes then, and I think that's like episode, like it's in like the 30s. It's way down there. Yes, episode 34, where he finally realizes that he hasn't been listening to Bingo throughout the whole season, and that's just in season 1.
Yeah.
So the layers there, that everything, no one's listening to Bingo and Bluey's not, and then they have to realize to work together. Even in episode 1, like you look at Magic Xylophone, it's actually like a perfect episode, and it was the first one.
Yeah.
So I have to ask Waba the same question, because I know he bought the toys, which we can't get in Canada
So
yet, Matt.
lucky.
Yeah, you can't get them,
Some are on Toys R Us Canada.
but the plushies aren't there yet. And that's
No,
what
we
my
have
daughter
like
wants.
nothing, like random stuff. Yeah.
So
Joking.
Waba, are the toys really for your daughter, or do you play with them?
Of course they're for her.
Hmm.
So we always go to, like, when we go to Target, we always stop by the toy aisle, like, just to see like what's still out there, and like maybe I see like what else I want. Like the Bluey house was like on our Christmas list, and like that thing is cool. It's got the Magic Xylophone in it, like as like a sticker. It's got the kiwi rug. It's got like their bedroom, and like just these like nods to it, and
Yeah.
like it's so clever. Like the sets they come out with, like they always come out with a Bluey or a Bingo, and so you have that main character if you don't want to like buy the whole like Bluey cinematic universe. But like it's actually like a smart show, not just like in terms of like the values, but like the callbacks are like unreal. And again, I might be blending seasons, but they do one where you're at the daycare and you see like Bluey and the Dalmatian like ride off to play like a princess game just in the background of another episode. Or like the yes no button, the dad's just like playing with it, which was like the focal. And again, I know that's season 2, but like they do a bunch of callbacks, and it's just weird how like they tie it in. And like I haven't seen anyone do that except Marvel, and I feel like I might be giving this like I love the show, but I might be giving it a lot of credit. But like I feel like a lot of like maybe South Park does that too, but it's clever.
That to me is also kind of like a Tarantino thing.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden in the background you just see like Honey Bun and whatever walking by, and it's like, oh wait, I
love that you use Bluey and Tarantino in the same sense, and I'm not mad about it. Like I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it.
There is that episode when Rusty and I can't remember her name at the moment right now. Rusty and Indy were playing mom and dad. Yeah. But before, he was being like the knight, and everybody at the end of the episode was like, "Hey, let's play knights and stuff." And Bluey, and then Indy turns to him and says, "Let's play mom and dad," and that's literally turns into the next episode, and then it teaches everybody about being moms and dads. Like they do so many unbelievable things where it teaches kids without realizing they're teaching them. Like the episode The Dump, where they finally listen to Bingo in the backseat of the car, also teaches kids about recycling at the very end. Because Bingo starts freaking out that he's throwing out the car, but he starts explaining it. But at the same time, he's explaining recycling. The kids don't realize they're learning these things.
Yeah.
Don't they do like a ton of callbacks to Wabba of like, I'm gonna like grannies? Haven't they done?
Oh,
I mean,
the
because
grannies
I watched the
are so
episode
good.
so much over and over again. And I'm like, isn't grannies like call back with Rita like 3 times? Like
Rita and Janet, yeah.
Rita and Janet.
It's so good. We gotta go to mahjong. Like, and like my grandparents do that. Like it's like, oh yeah, I'm late for mahjong practice or whatever. It's so good. And like, I don't know. Like so we bought this book. We just found a Bluey book, last one at Target, and it has like the grannies in it and like some of these lessons and like the main like it's like a small book in the shape of Bluey. I should have brought it down. But at the end, it's like, at the end of the day, we like being together as a family. And you're right. Like it hammers those things home to kids, and I think it's really approachable for kids because it's like, oh, these are like cute funny dogs, but also the adults, like that's what you need to make a good show, because the adults are gonna have to like buy in and like enjoy watching it. And this is the only like not the only show. I think Disney does a great job, but like this is probably the show where like if it's on at night after she's in bed, I'll like probably keep it on the TV.
Yeah, if it's just on,
It also gives a positive relationship to kids, because it's one of those shows where they're not afraid to have the parents show physical attraction to each other and physical emotion. There's many an episode where you see the parents kissing. There's many an episode where you see the parents dancing. There's many an episode where you even see parents not bickering with each other, but taking shots at each other.
Yup.
Like the episode when they go to the pool and the father acts like he knows everything, and the mom's like, okay. And then you see the mom come in at the end and save the day.
I related to that
So-
I felt like personally attacked by that episode. Like, oh, did you bring this? No. All right, well, you don't get it. Like, oh yeah, that sounds about right.
I think it's actually season 2, probably, but the one where Bingo's having the dream and they keep having to move beds and everything, and then she has Fluffy, and it's the whole dream sequence, and you relate to it because you're like, as a parent, it's like it's mom getting up or getting poked at to be like, I need some water, and then having to go, and then the kid's in your bed asleep, and you're like, so you go sleep in your kid's bed, like. And then the other one wakes up, and you're just like, oh my god, yeah, it's just everything. And I find what's really great for parents and for kids nowadays is that as we grew up with all of our shows, everything was 22, 24 minutes, 30 minutes commercials to get through a show. And these are Disney streamed 7 minutes.
Yep.
And you're in the next. And I think that's what's brilliant too, is how clever it is that for marketing and building that universe of like 7-minute bite-sized book-sized lessons and stories that you're just craving the next, and it just rolls into the next, or they're callbacks from the previous. Like it goes and goes where you're like, oh yeah, we just did 20 episodes, and yeah, maybe you burn 2 hours, but yeah, instead of doing 4 episodes of Simpsons or anything else that's on TV.
And it's almost, and I can't believe I'm going to make this comparison here. It's almost like Seinfeld, where they take the littlest of a topic and they make a whole show about it. Like you have Keepy Uppy as an episode where it is now a game that we play in our house. It was an episode where it just starts where Bingo wakes up and there's a balloon at the foot of him. Bluey wakes up, sorry, and he gets up and there's a balloon there and it's the one balloon left. And he starts playing around with it and letting mess around. And then the mom's like, you know what we should play? And then boom, it's a whole episode on Keepy Uppy. And now that is a game where if you would say to any parent who's ever watched Bluey, you say, do you want to play Keepy Uppy? It would probably put a smile to any parent and any child's face.
Mm-hmm.
They have something with that.
Can I also say, too, I want to answer the question, what does it remind you of from, like, kind of your childhood? Now, granted, I'm kind of old, but to me, when I think of Bluey, it's not a TV show, but a movie. It's like Up. Up was not for kids. Up was 110% for adults, and then they put, you know, the little kid in there with the bird and the dog and all that. And it's like, to me, like, I love Up. Like, we had a borderline Up themed wedding.
The happy parts, don't worry.
Yes. Like, but like we had, I'll go into some other time for you guys, but, like Up was just,
we now have an episode.
Yeah.
Bank it.
But it's like that it just hits on all the points of like growing older and being together and then losing that person and then whatever. And this, especially, you're seeing the family as a complete and total package deal. Like, to me, that's just, it kind of hits on the same bases.
Yeah, one of my favorite episodes is Barbecue in season 1, where the kids pretend to be the parents. So the parents are setting up for the barbecue, and then Bingo takes the role of the mom and starts making the salad and starts to everything. The kids are like, I need this, and Bingo has to keep figuring it out. And then by the end of the episode, just sits in that chair and just looks exhausted and covered in everything. And the parents are just looking at Bingo like, what just happened? Like, what just happened to this kid? But that's exactly what it's like to be a parent, right? If we were having a barbecue and the one parent is cooking and when you have company over and you're doing those type of things, by the end of the day, your kid falls asleep so quick, but you're exhausted.
Yeah.
You're absolutely drained from being a parent and also being a host of what you're doing. And that's what Bingo takes the role of in that episode. And I find it funny that a lot of these episodes, they'll make the kid the parent.
Yeah.
They'll do that a lot because Bluey does a lot of imagination, which reminds me of Muppet Babies, but there's a lot of imagination in these shows, and I love it. It teaches kids to think outside the box. And my daughter, when she plays, I think she learns a lot from Bluey because she starts to play house, but she plays it like Bluey. No, we need this, we need this, we need this. You be this role, you be this role. Bluey does have a little bit of a complex where she really likes to be in charge, but that's just my opinion. But I would like to ask all of you, what is your favorite episode from season 1? I'll start with Wabba since he's always last.
I like the so we actually saw this like later. Like I didn't know it was season 1 until I looked at it. The purple underpants one. It was like Barnacus and the Wise Old Wolfhound.
So that is called Bumpy and the Wise Old Wolfhound.
It's so good. Like my true favorite, I think technically is part of season 2, so we'll wait till next episode. But yeah, the fact that like, you know, Bingo's sick and like I have a phobia of like just anything doctor related because I'm a coward and child, which is probably why I like the show. But I you know, being in the hospital and it stinks and you don't know why and you can't explain it to a kid because it's like, well, you're here why? Just because you're sick. And they don't go into details and it's fine. You know, she's not like, you know. But I'm sure there are a lot of kids out there who, you know, for one reason or another are scared of being going, or maybe, you know, there's something else going on. And what happens is the rest of the family is just like showing they care in a way that's accessible to kids. So they make this whole silly thing and, you know, it's whatever. They've got the purple underpants and the dad's got bum worms and, you know, Muffin breaks the expensive vase and it's just can't, you know, I you know, I was sick last year. It's so dumb and goofy and Socks is biting the dad. There's so many good points, but like overall the purpose is like, okay, well, I'll be able to help, you know, socks or bumpy, get well, but you need to show me purple underpants of someone that's never been sick. So everyone starts taking off their pants and remember when they get sick, and like the nurse and the mom are like looking at it. And I remember like there's one scene where like the nurse and the mom are laughing, and Bingo's like, oh, but what are they gonna do? Like she's like super into it. Like for us it's silly, but like for the kid, they probably watch this show and they get like super into it because they're kids and they're focused. But everybody gets sick, and it's a lesson that's tough to learn because you can't really explain something like that to kids. Like a lot of things. My daughter's like, "Oh, is that an apple?" Yes. Why? I don't know. But it's so clever, and I don't know. I think it really, that type of attention from a family coming together, I think means a lot more than we know to a child, and that's why I like that episode.
Especially what we've all been going through for the last year and a half.
Exactly. I mean, our daughter's young enough to not be part of that. Like, she has no idea. But I'm sure there are a lot of parents out there who it's like, well, why can't I go to school? Why is, exactly. Not going to go into the questions, but everybody who's a parent gets it.
So, Matt, I'll ask you, what is your favorite? You know what? I should ask, what's your family's favorite episode from season 1?
It's probably, I was gonna say a sleepover, and that is because it's constantly on. It's like in the routine, and it makes the rounds constantly, and it's one that I will always put on too. I love Daddy Robot, because it just reminds me of get into your mode, and you are just robot. Because I've literally done it where it's just they've gotten my controller, and the kids are just, and they got it from Bluey, and they turned me into the robot, and I spent a good hour and a half of just everything I did. They were controlling with my Xbox controller and just moving me around and doing stuff and brushing my teeth and getting changed and everything. But the sleepover is probably the family favorite, where we have all laughed and play it again and play it again. I can't get enough of Muffin, and just the idea of that on the surface level, because my kids are 6 and 4, so they just laugh hysterically at every little interaction they have. And Muffin comes in like, oh, she's so tired. But as an adult, you're looking at it and you take in the context of like the character is drunk, has drunk
yeah.
behavior of coming up. So you're taking it both ways, where you're like, and you see Muffin, you see the uncle or the brother, and you're like, he's exhausted from this kid. It's like, here you go, and runs away. And having the entire evening where they take Muffin to the restaurant, and then even Chili making the comments where like one thing is where they have Bluey and Bingo dressing up as the date, as the couple, and Bingo is always the male and always saying, no problem, babe, we'll get a table, babe. Every time with the mustache and the hat, and I love it, and my kids love it too. And one time my daughter was like, I didn't even catch it, she's like, oh, what you gonna do, babe? I'm like, what are you talking about? And I realized she got it from that. But when they go into the restaurant and they're sitting down, and Bluey's like, oh, I think we'll take our time and really, really take our time and figure out what we want. And the mom walks away and goes, no, you won't.
Yeah.
Because it's still no, we're going to bed. And Chili is trying to constantly get them to bed and finish play. The dad is outside who's selling chips. And
the cops,
and,
the cop car.
Oh, yeah.
She just crashes.
She crashed into it. Flamingos. She grabs the flamingo. Oh my god. So sleepover is, yeah, it's just, we laugh every time. Episodes build off each other, and for 7 minutes or 8 minutes of just getting in and out and telling so much story, and it's fun and there's lessons and everything. Yeah, that one's our favorite.
I know you guys like Muffin, and it's funny because our first introduction to Muffin was like the ballerina one, and we're not at that age. Like
that's season 2, for God's.
I know, but
wow.
like, well, we saw it. I think we saw whatever was on TV. We didn't know what was happening. But like our first impression was like, man, Muffin sucks. But like we also like, we don't have kids that age. Like now that our daughter's growing up, it's like, oh yeah, like this is pretty accurate. Like Socks just biting everything. Okay, that makes sense. Muffin kind of being a little like, no, me, mine. Okay, yeah, we get it. But like, again, we saw this probably a year ago. And now, like, that episode you described, it made her like super endearing. And it's like, okay, yeah, like, yeah, we thought she was kind of like a bad kid, but at the end of the day, she's just a kid, and she's like growing up and learning.
Yeah, your kid is definitely like Socks Muffin territory right now. Like, my daughter's almost 5. So she's at the same as she just laughs at everything she watches in Bluey, like hysterically, but she's more into the bingo. My daughter's
Same.
more related. Yeah,
Yep.
like definitely bingo. She's not Bluey yet. She hasn't got that concept, but definitely bingo. But when we first started watching it, she was definitely muffin. So I'll ask you, Queen,
Yep.
what is your favorite episode in season 1?
So I have two. Calypso, I think, is just absolutely a stellar episode from beginning to end. And then is it Bilby or
Bob Bilby.
Bob Bilby? I love that one. So I'm sorry. I know I always pick two anytime I come on here. Calypso I find fantastic because it shows the making of society from the slow or the low level to the top. So like you have the boy that wants the gnome, right? And Calypso's like, okay, well, you're not gonna get a gnome unless you can like build a place for him. So she builds a house and then she's like, yeah, you can do more. And then while that's going on, you have the kids, the
The
three
Terriers.
moms with the babies,
Mhm.
and she moves out, goes to get a job, and Rusty is, building a house while watching the baby, and then all these things are going on, and it's showing an actual, like, how a town runs or how a society runs. And then at the end, the boy making the like, I don't know, with the gnomes or whatever, he makes an entire city. And it's like, if you actually look at what the city looks like, you can see where the kids are, like the different dogs are in. It's like you've got two moms sitting at a table, you have a dad with a baby. Like you can see all that stuff. And just how soothing Calypso is. Oh my god. When she starts singing at the first, like in the first part of the episode, I'm just like, oh, I could listen to you all day. So, and then, you've got the kid that doesn't want to do anything. He wants to lay on the carpet. And then at the end, he's fishing.
And he
And
gets the fish for the fish and chips.
Yep.
Exactly. Calypso says, I know someone that I'd like to introduce you to. So, and then the one with the puppet, I really love that one because
Bob Bilby.
yeah, Bob Bilby. Like Bingo has to take home the puppet. They have to take pictures and put them in a album. And the mom puts all the pictures in. In every single picture, you see a device. You see an iPad, you see a phone, you see the parents on the phone, like all that. And they look at it and they're like, oh, that doesn't look much fun. And Bandit is like, yeah, it doesn't. And he's realizing, like, oh my God, my kids spend so much time on the device. And as a parent, especially with like a 2.5-year-old, I really try hard not to give her the device unless it's, like we're like DEFCON 5 meltdown is impending. Like we're really trying to avoid something. So, and
That
then,
won't last long.
yeah, I know, I know.
You'll just give them the device when you have two parents working at home. You're like, so you can have the iPad now. Go away.
Yeah, I tried that today before dinner when I was trying to cook.
She
but-
wanted to color. We,
Yeah.
we got lucky that day.
But then I love the part where the parents are like, we need to do something, because Bingo starts looking through the paper or the album and seeing like he went to where this place and this place and this amazing place. And I love that when Chili comes up with the bike and is like, hi Bob. And the dad's like, what? And they go and they do stuff just outside. And I feel like just being outside, going for a walk after, like actually picking your head up from your phone and seeing the outside can be eye-opening, So I love that. I really love that the parents never realized it. And it was like, oh, crap, we need to do something about this.
Yeah, it's a fantastic episode. My two favorites are Yoga Ball, and only because Raiders is Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yep.
So to me, it was well done. As soon as he starts saying Raiders, it's just my daughter. We have a exercise ball which is the yoga ball. And we had one, and my daughter starts rolling it down the hallway and starts running away. And I'm like, oh my God, I wish I could show you Indiana Jones, but you're way too young. But anyways, and she has, to her, that yoga ball rolling down and getting out of the way. To me, it's Indiana Jones. To her now, it's Bluey. It's always going to be Bluey. And then if she sees it in Indiana Jones, she's like, oh, they did that in Bluey.
That's so weird that there's a generation of people that are gonna think that.
There,
And
there's
I
a
think it's
generation of people with
fantastic.
music.
Oh, that's a good point.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of people that think that Kanye came out with whatever song, and it's like, no.
That's pretty much all hip hop nowadays.
Yeah.
And that's another episode. And then there's to me is Copycat, and the only reason this one hits close to home is we have a cat that is very sick in this house, and my daughter loves this cat more than life itself, and we had to have that conversation. And this episode is one that we watched with her, and we let her just watch it, and now and it kind of like put a light bulb in her head that she knows now Pal's sick, and that Pal he's not getting better, and it is what it is. But when you think about Copycat, it starts as a thing that happens to us all the time with our kids, that they copy us and they annoy us a lot, but we love them. And then Bluey gets stopped by that bird, that wounded bird, and you think, you're like, you're watching a cartoon, you're like, the bird's gonna be fine. And then when they let that bird die, I thought it was perfect. There's not many cartoons out there that let the sad thing happen.
Right.
And they explain it so that your kids are watching it. My daughter laughs at every episode, and if you think about it, at the beginning of that episode, she laughed her head off, and then she learned a lesson at the end. And as Matt's pointed out a million times, it's only 7 minutes, and they pulled that emotion in 7 minutes. They went from highs of laughing to, oh my God, that bird died, and we feel sad.
I think
And they did
Sesame
it- and
Street
they-
did that too, but like that's like the only other example I know of, but it's because one of like their long-standing members passed. And like
Yeah.
Big Bird grasps with that. And like that was like a huge, I mean, Sesame Street's like a trailblazer in terms of like kids TV, but like they didn't have to do that at Bluey. Like you're right, like no one, like there's no reason to have an episode like that, but they did, and it works. So I agree with you. It's important.
Yeah, and also too with that, like the way it plays out, they see the bird, they take it to the vet, they wait for the bird. Like there's any vet would have said, all right, go home, we'll take care of this and whatever. But no, they come out, they tell him like, oh, I'm sorry, didn't make it. And then Bluey has to sit in the car. Chili's there to meet her and say, Bluey, I'm sorry, and they go through the whole thing. So it's very endearing in that way that they let it play out. They don't just like cut it off. Maybe a phone call happens and said, yeah, the bird didn't make it. And then but it's all seen. There's nothing cut out.
And they didn't do the easy trope of having the parents lie to the kid.
Yeah.
Yes.
They could have
Yeah.
easily had Bandit take a phone call, and then Bandit turned to be, oh, the bird's fine.
Right.
And the bird's not. Instead,
Right.
they let it happen. And then honorable mention I have is Veranda Santa, and the reason I love that one so much is because it teaches kids to not be selfish.
Yep.
So Socks bites Bluey, and Bluey is definitely that 6-year-old that is just like the king of the roost.
Mhm.
So that 6-year-old that decides that they're in charge of this house. So when Bluey doesn't get her way, because she likes to be in control of all situations, she takes offense and she does something mean to Socks. And Christmas is about being together as family. So then you get to have that explanation that Bluey gets from Bandit and Chili about what Christmas is about. And then Bluey goes out to the manger that's out in front of the house, sits beside Socks, and apologizes. And then you have that, what Christmas is all about. You get that warm, fuzzy feeling. And that's an episode we actually watched on Christmas Eve as a family. And it could be a tradition in this house because my daughter loves it.
Yeah.
She loves Veranda Santa. Like, she plays it in the house. We sit there on the bed and she goes, go lie down. I'm gonna put a present underneath your pillow. Like, just something we do in this house. And that's one of my biggest takeaways from this show is this show teaches me how to be a better parent. Like, I being a parent is very tough. And you know what? hats off to all of us that do it. It is the hardest gig I've ever had in my life, and it's the most fulfilling gig I've ever had in my life. But this show gives us ideas on how to be a kid. There's the episode where they're waiting for the Chinese food, and then at the very end, Bandit's the one who realizes I need to be a kid because you can't grow up. He gets his fortune and he reads it and he's like, oh my God, it's right. Like I can never be a kid again. A flower gets to rebloom, but you never get to be a kid. Is what I think. That's what the fortune says. And that's what that show is for us, because I now play these games with my daughter. It gives me ideas of things to do, but now when my daughter says, "Hey, can we do this?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, we can." Instead of just trying to think about my life, I think about everything.
Can I just?
How it's easy. No, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I just wanted to add it to Raiders. So the whole thing with like Raiders to me at the end where the mom asks Bingo if she used her big girl bark because the dad's being too rough with her, right? That was the first episode I ever saw. And I just remember going, what is this? Like, the dad's being too rough with her? Like, what? And Wabba was like, no, you gotta watch it. You gotta watch the whole thing. And as parents, one of the things that you have to teach your kid is about boundaries. You have to teach your kid about boundaries. What's okay, what's not okay, okay? And, like, you're really enforced on whatever social media you're on, Facebook, Instagram, anything like that. Like, this is a boundary and you can't go past. It never talks about the kids setting boundaries for parents. And that is one thing that show shows, is it's okay for the kids to say, that's not okay. I didn't appreciate that. And for the parents to listen. And then even better is that the dad says, I'm sorry, Bingo, instead of being like, oh, you need to suck it up and just be okay. This is the way life is. Like, no, that's not. He says, I'm sorry. Like, let's practice your big girl bark so I know. So I appreciate that. And then Veranda Santa, can we just do a shout out to, what's the brother's name? Stripe. Like, passed out drunk on the floor and getting nailed by the door every time. But, yeah. Sorry, I just had to get that in because, like, those are some that I appreciate.
Perfect example.
I love how even like when I first started watching the show with the kids, they didn't pick it up for a while either, that just the genders of the kids, because it's not really a focus because there's so much imagination and play and everything, and they're swapping out roles. And I find that the show does such a great job of being like, oh, Blue, they're both little girls, but they don't like fix, you know what I mean? They don't fixate on it. So it's interchangeable because they're so young and it's a cartoon and they're dogs. It allows for like my son to be able to completely identify with Bluey. Well, Bluey is a 6-year-old little girl, but it's just all imagination and play and everything, right? And same with Bingo. I just find that it's really cool that they can actually just swap out roles so much that it can work for both boys and girls. And you don't, because you know how it is when with kids is that they're like, I want to be like that character or that one or identify with that character, but then they get mad that like, oh, I like that one, but that's the boy or that's the girl. And like Court, same as you, like my daughter's 4 and she's just it's all Bingo. And everything is Bingo. And my son is killing himself laughing over everything Bluey's doing because it's all older sibling bossing around, being like, go get this, do this, do this. Like they're playing Queens, which I love. And when they're playing Queens, and my daughter's like, can we play Queens? I'm like, yes. Because then she comes in and we do like the flute and everything. And it's like, oh, it's your majesty. And my wife actually rings her in and says, presenting the queen. And I love that too because like,
I wonder if that's due to the fact that their names are Bluey and Bingo, because you have other characters like Indy, Mackenzie, Rusty, Jack, like all these are gender specific, right? Like boy, so it's like maybe when a boy watches it, like I know my sister who watched it when she was over was like, wait, Bluey's not a boy. And I'm like, no, they're sisters, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter, and I just thought it was cool. It's just the way they approach the show, right? Because it's just you're so used to just, okay, it's little boy, little girl, brother, sister, Berenstein Bears. Like it's all of it. And then they change up the roles and what they're doing in all the play. So
Or is it Berenstain Bears?
it's
I'm not sure.
Berenstein Bears.
Berenstain.
Berenstain
But
Bears.
and to jump on your point there, it also when Bluey does her role plays, and she does some elaborate ones, like very elaborate ones. The roles that she gives to people aren't gender specific as well. She has it. It's almost like Shakespeare, where she has people swapping back and forth. It doesn't really make a difference.
Right.
So it teaches kids that it's okay. Like my daughter tells me all the time. She told me today she can be whatever she wants, and that's okay. They don't play on the roles. And in fact, when you really look at it, they call the show Bluey, but the show could be called Bingo. The show could be just called The Healers,
Mhm.
because I don't really see Bluey as the main character, because there are some episodes that Bluey's barely in it.
Or not even in it at all.
Yeah, exactly. There's the whole episode of Rusty and Indy. Like that's the whole episode.
Mhm.
So the episode is really about that community, but it is about the family. It's the healers. Like if you think about it, the Bandit is the main character almost, because he's
Yeah.
in it the most, right?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. Like you feel for Bandit. Like I look at Bandit, I'm like, he's a stay-at-home dad. He works from home, but he's with the kids more than the mom, but they don't ever have, usually if you see that in any sort of sitcom or any sort of anything, they always have that infighting between the parents.
Yes.
And you don't see that in this show. You show the understanding. You see the love that the two parents have. They have the whole date episode. They have the episode where they're dancing and she's pretending to be that Russian dancer.
Yep.
It's just so well done. And they have this dynamic where they can allow everybody to have that role, where the mom is going to work and the dad is at home, and they have all those things. They even have the episode work where Bluey fires the dad and the dad sits out front, and
Is he
that's the
trying
one
to
where they
build
dance.
his tubes?
Pipes.
Oh,
the
the
Pipes.
drain pipes.
Yeah,
They're
Drain pipes.
cylindrical.
to get the dollar bucks, right? So
And he hires a frog and Bluey.
exactly, and it's just, and the mom just comes into it, and she can always like solve the problem, or he can solve the problem. Whatever parent is the main, the other parent helps solve the problem, and everybody works as a team.
Right.
No one's ever left alone, and they make that known. It's
And
such a heartwarming show.
they don't make one parent the goof, the dullard, the typical, I think, typical sitcom of like overweight dad that works 9 to 5 and off he goes to work, and mom is out of his league and she cuts him down and all of that and makes him feel stupid. Like just the common stuff you've seen in like every sitcom
Yeah.
way they play it out. And they completely get rid of all of that, where you're like, it's interchangeable, it doesn't matter. And it's nice, it's refreshing that they change it up just with that of like, he stays at home, it doesn't matter, and mom goes to work, and it's not even a focus, or you don't see that there's the infighting of the wife or the husband, they're picking at each other and needling at each other. They don't do that. It's like you said, Corey, they just play off of each other of like who's got the solution, and they come to the resolution or whatever they need to balance, which is great. I love Bluey. I like Rita
Yeah.
and Grannies.
I know what is it? I think like kind of what you were saying, the thing that comes to mind is like Everybody Loves Raymond. It's like Everybody Loves Raymond was a huge sitcom, but the mom was just such a bee.
Not nice.
Like
She was a
sorry,
challenging
yeah.
character.
Yeah, but
Challenging
that
character.
it doesn't need to be that way. That's my point. So it doesn't need to be this like the mom's doing everything, she's mad at the dad. Like it can just be even, and they love each other very much. So
Yeah, there doesn't need to be conflict to
Right.
show, like when you look at a lot of the sitcoms that we all grew up watching, like I think about it, every cartoon we watched was war, people fighting, everything. And then even the sitcoms growing up, it was all about conflict and hardship. And this one is one where I know that my daughter can sit there and she can watch every episode. When season 2, like we do something in this house called Family Fun Night. So every Friday night, we watch a movie together, we have dinner together, and my daughter gets to pick the dinner, and we watch a movie and it's Disney Plus. It might as well call it Disney Plus night, because that's the only thing we turn on, and she gets to choose whatever she wants. And when season 2 came out, she got to stay up late because we were like, we're watching every episode. Like that's what we're doing. Family fun night. We started family fun night. We started watching TV at dinner, which we don't always do, and boom, we didn't stop until we were done watching season 2. And it's the one show where my daughter lights up and she laughs, but I laugh too. And 9 times out of 10, we laugh at the same jokes.
Yep.
Court, I think when you said to me whatever it was a couple of weeks ago, and you're like, "Oh, season 2 is out now, like in Canada for Bluey," and I flipped it on and I told my son, and yeah, he just like lit up and he's like, "Really? There's more?" And I was like, "Yeah, there's like 30 episodes or something in season 2," and he was just like, he's like, "Let's go right now," and he's just ready to go, and you just power through 10, 15 episodes. It's brilliant, and it's I don't know. I feel like it's caught on more and more for I don't see it as like this big overhaul thing, and I might be just in the dark about it, but I don't feel like it is talked about amongst families or mainstream and all that. Like this is the show that's kind of sweeping everybody. It's just there. And I think that it's possibly one of those ones that just gets caught on later, where there's 3, 4 seasons of it, and then people are like, "Hey, have you watched this?" Or family's watching this now, and they miss the boat. But yeah, it's brilliant for targeting towards kids, but families, and it's all on Disney Plus as an original. It's
It's the
awesome.
it's the one show I tell every single person. They're like, "Oh, I have Disney Plus." I'm like, "Have you watched Bluey?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, "Just stop talking, watch Bluey." I'm like, "Just watch it with your kids, and then you'll end up watching every episode." Like my daughter was going to homeschool, and they kept watching Spirit. My daughter kept coming home. She's like, "Oh, I want Spirit." She loved the horses, but then she'd always go back to Bluey. And then one day they were going to watch Spirit. I said to the teacher, I said, "Teacher Emily, I'm like, can you just put on Bluey for them?" Just because I kept telling her about it. She's like, "Yeah, we'll get to it." I'm like, "No, just try it." And then I came back at the end of the day, and every kid, they were all playing outside, and all the games they were playing were stuff from Bluey. Like it automatically captivates them, and it just like you guys have the 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 family north over here. They have a 2.5-year-old. When she starts kicking into some of these activities, you're gonna be so happy. Like I don't I like that is one of the things that this show brings me. It brings me joy because I get to connect with my daughter and I get to enjoy the same thing she does.
And you slow down a beat because your kids, as yours gets a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger, you're going so fast because every day is work and family, and your plate is already over full, and you're like, let's throw some more on there. And yeah, when you watch the show and then you're with your kids and your kids are going off, and instead of just screen time or something, it's all shut off and they are just in their world and they are playing and creating, and you jump into it, you slow down for half a second and you're like, I will be the wizard, or I will be the queen, or I will be Rita, and I will be an old granny, or I will play work, or daddy robot. And yeah, it's that little extra where you're like, instead of, no, can't right now, no, I'm working, you stop for a second, and I think you see a little bit more. You're like, you just say yes to stuff. And you're like, yeah, because it's 20 minutes or it's half an hour, but that's huge for them in their world, right? And they're moment to moment.
Right.
I already am an old granny. I don't need to play one on,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
my kid.
Got the outfit.
That is 100% true. Mind you, I'm the one that like right now I look at it and I'm like I look at the time and I'm like I probably got to go to bed in like 20 minutes, and it's not for the people that are watching this. It is not late. So
It's still light out. What do you?
Yeah, there is still sunlight outside.
my wife and I literally go to bed every night with the sun still out.
Oh
But
God.
Must
my
be
daughter
nice.
wakes
Yeah.
my daughter wakes up at 6:30, 6:45. So
Yeah, we're
it's
about
early.
6.
It's early in
Yeah.
this house. Yes, I know, Waba. You play video games at 11 o'clock. I get it. I
You-
I
Yeah,
can't
we're
do
up till
that.
like 1 a.m. every
Mass
night.
Effect must be complete. Yeah, I mean,
Oh, so jealous.
well, we're at the point where it's like it's so bad because it's like we stay up. There's like a thing around this, but like we stay up because that's the free time we get,
Yeah.
and we just pay for it in the morning.
Yeah.
So it goes, worth it.
I don't think it is.
No, I get it. You're like, this is all I have. I got these
Yeah.
I got these 3 hours, 2 hours. It's like I'm just gonna push. You're
Yeah.
half asleep. You're like, I don't care.
That'll change as she gets older. I see
Yes,
Bandit just passing out on the ground. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm like that some
Oh,
days.
I'm yeah, Bandit, there's many an episode. If you actually look into it, there's many an episode where Bandit is sleeping beside Bluey on the ground. Like
Yeah.
many an episode. So, Queen, I know you had a question you wanted to ask all of us.
Yes. Who is your favorite secondary character?
So, mine is Calypso,
Mhm.
and it's solely based on because originally I wanted to say Muffin, but Wabba told me that's not a real answer because he's technically a family. But I still think he is a secondary cancer. But whatever character. But it is what it is. But definitely Calypso. Just because of how calming she is, and her episodes are some of the most deep episodes throughout. Even when we get into season 2, the Calypso episodes are so deep.
Yup.
Yes.
Like they're so thought provoking. So I truly do like Calypso.
I'm looking at all the characters now because off my head it was Calypso and it's Muffin. Those are
Yeah, Muffin's the best. Muffin is the best character on the show by far.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, just not even close. And then when we talk about season 2, on our next time we do this, it's just going to be the Muffin episode because season 2 is Muffin.
Yeah,
We're
shit.
just
I'm
whole-
already
whole-
saying you need to block out like 2 hours. It's like solid hours because I have a lot of feelings on season 2.
Season 2, if for prepping everybody when we do season 2, well done to the writers of Bluey because oh my god, season 2 is so serious but also funny at the same time. But they cover some huge topics. Mind you, I totally forgot to even talk about how they cover a same-sex marriage in season 1, where they have horsey ride episode where
Oh
they
my
have the
gosh, I
two
forgot about
dads.
that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at my notes. I had it written down. They have the dad and the cousin get
Yeah.
married.
Oh yeah.
And originally, when they get about to get married, they go, okay. They look at each other like they're going to say no. And then they're like, okay. And then the moms get home and they're like, what happened? They're like, oh, we played around. We were playing horsey ride. And the kids were like, no, dad and so-and-so got married. And the moms go, oh, really? Like, and not in a bad, oh, really?
Also, shout out Lucky's dad. So not only is he down for everything, he doesn't have a name. He's a real one. And talking
That's what I was
about
trying-
like
I couldn't figure his name out.
No, he's just Lucky's dad. But he also might be a single father. There is no mention or anything of a spouse. And he's always there. He's always taking care of his kid. He's always in the neighborhood. They're playing a game and they're like, help us, Lucky. He's like, I got you. Like, don't worry. And then he's like, again, this might be season 2, like Stumpfest is happening. He just hops the fence and starts acting like he belongs. My man, dude, Lucky's dad is a real one. But
Well,
so that's it. It's just him and Lucky.
And then Keepy Uppy.
Oh, yeah, keep you uppy. He's like, I done my hammy.
Oh,
He
Yeah.
he left it all on the court.
Hammy.
Left it all on the field. No regrets.
I
Lucky's
can't.
dad.
They also
Or what is it? Zoo when he gets eaten by the eaten by the lion.
gorilla.
Yeah, the gorilla.
They also mention the dog Winston. I think is he a bulldog?
Yeah.
I think he has like 2 fathers. Cuz there's at one point it's in the one where the dollar goes around, the $5. She buys the candy apple. Indy doesn't eat sugar, and then she's like, I think I'm making a bad choice.
The market.
Yeah,
the market
that's
episode.
it. And Winston's there, and he goes, "Hey, Dad," and he goes, "Hey, take this like $5 and buy your dad a hot dog," and he's like, "Oh, okay," and I took that as get your dad that's not me a hot dog, not like saying it in the third person, like, "Hey, get your dad a hot dog," and I was like, oh my goodness, like, but it's that little thing. It's like, and what your perception is. Like, if you are like a straight couple and you're like, oh yeah, he wants him to get him a hot dog, like whatever. But if you're like a gay parent and you're like, oh man, that's like what I would say to my child if I were asking him to get him a hot dog.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely a lot of representation, probably more so than like some of the other Disney shows. Like, Mickey Mouse, you're getting Mickey Mouse. But Bluey, I think you're getting a little different, and I think it's cool. And they touch on it, and they, like you just mentioned, like, oh yeah, Indy can't have sugar. Yeah, she's vegan. Like, that's another thing. Like, again, is that, like, not, I think there are other more important issues, but just that, they just don't make a
don't make a
it's a
thing of
focus of
it.
the
Yeah,
episode, but it's just
exactly.
very casual, and it makes it like super acceptable and just like normal. They make things very normal, and I don't want to say casual, but it's very accessible for someone who might not have familiarity with that, or like a lot of like these different things that they haven't really been exposed to yet. And I think that's kind of a theme in all the episodes, from the ones we were just talking about at Court, when you talked about the one with the bird. It's just it kind of touches on everything. It gets kids like used to just hearing about it, and that's super important in my opinion.
This is part of life. This is
Well,
what life is.
I will say that the Aussies know how to do a show, because as someone who's taken his kid to the Wiggles more than once,
Fruit salad.
is even the Wiggles tackle stuff in their shows, and I don't know what it is. I said it to my wife not too long ago. I said, if the show is made in Australia and it's for kids, she can watch it. I don't even have to think twice. The values they put in these shows, well done to the Aussies. Thank you.
No.
Oi, as you may say.
They
No, no, I'm
No.
I'm not gonna do that.
Is Lucky your favorite
No, Lucky's
segment?
dad. Lucky's dad's a real one.
Okay, so mine is Rusty, 110%. I
Cruxes?
stand Rusty.
No, I know when he's like, got any cruxes?
Like more so in the second season with Rusty, but the first season with the Calypso, he's like perfectly fine with watching Indy's baby, and like he ain't the baby daddy. Like,
But he
is
was the
totally
baby.
okay.
And they even in that episode they have them fighting each other and then learning that they love each other.
Yeah.
How about that? They go
Right.
around and they realize that they are perfect for each other.
Early baby, where like he accidentally moves the baby and they have like an absolute meltdown, and then he is like legitimately sorry that he moved this fake baby that was born like an hour early before it was supposed to.
Or the fact that they did a whole episode about a premature
I
baby.
know, right?
Yeah.
It's like we
Yeah.
were talking
Yeah,
about, like
that's-
these important issues that we just they make it normal.
They do.
I like when it's the one where they're at the park and Bluey and Bennett are meeting up with the other kid and the dad, and the two of them are becoming
Pirates.
dads is
Pirates.
pirates.
Yep.
They become friends, but they're not at first. And Bluey's the one who's like, "Oh, I want to be able to like have my friend over and we
Yeah.
play at our house," and he's like, "I don't know." And the dad's kind of like trying to shrug it off, like it's no big thing. Like he doesn't have that guy, like it's not his friend.
Yeah.
But then every time they go to the park, they're anxious to see each other and hang out, and they finally do.
And it's
but-
it's just the little things with the playing when they're like, oh, he forgot sugar. And it's like, but we want sugar. Make sure there's sugar. It's like, oh, they forgot sugar. And then they're running around and like whatever. And then I love when Bingo shows up and like totally just throws a bomb in the whole thing. And it's like, I want to be over here on the swings and you need to push me. And the dad's just like, you sure you don't want to play over there? And it's so good.
So that's gonna be our show. But I think we can all agree what we really want this to come from, for anybody who's listening to this, or everybody has a child, or you don't have a child. This is a must-watch show.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't. The fact that this was one of the things that when Wabba and I sat down, I was like, we need to do a show about Bluey. We need to figure out a way to do episodes about Bluey, because, man, it's just so good. It just puts a smile on our face. And I think even Matt, he's come on the show. I think every single time he's been on our podcast, I think if you go through, we talk about Bluey. We make a reference to Bluey every single time.
Bluey has no business being this good. And I don't mean that in a disrespect. Like, this is a show on Disney Junior for kids, or on a kids network, and it handles topics better than adult shows, and it's fantastic. And it's got rewatchability. It's accessible. It's unreal, and more people who don't just have little kids should be aware of this and watching it. So to all of you who like video games, I'm sure there's a Venn diagram somewhere with the split, but just check it out. Check out a few episodes. You might surprise yourself.
I've also going to do a mind blow thing. Next time you look at Bluey and Bluey turns around, the spots on her back look like Mickey Mouse. There's
Oh,
only
God.
3.
Hit it.
Really?
Let's
One,
go.
yeah,
Mickey.
it's one. I just noticed it because the new album just dropped and it's on iTunes.
Yep.
new
And on the
album.
cover it shows Bluey just sitting there. Well, yeah, dude, we were listening in the car. And it shows Bluey just sitting on the stoop, and it shows
Yeah.
the spots, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, and I don't think this is purposeful at all, and maybe it was, but I really don't think it was because I don't think it's a Disney. I don't think it
It's
originally was
bought by
made for
Disney.
Disney. Yeah, it was
Bought
bought
by
by
Disney?
Disney. Yeah, it
Okay.
originally was on ABC, and then they put it on Disney.
Yeah.
And we won't get into that one. But the three circles, look at it. It's Mickey Mouse.
House of Mouse always knows what's up. That's what I believe, and I'm okay with that. I welcome my
Wait.
rodent overlords.
Wait for it to all be at Disney World. That'll be the big thing. Is like we're gonna go. Court, you're going.
I'm going in
Can't
October.
wait.
They
Yeah,
have
let-
those characters there, but not Bluey.
Are they there?
No, they have Fancy Nancy. They've got Fancy Nancy. Don't,
Yeah, no, they have
I
all
don't,
that.
I don't mess with
My-
Fancy Nancy, but they've
My
got
daughter
Doc
doesn't like
McStuffins.
Fancy Nancy.
No, she was on for an hour and she got bounced for Dino Squad or Dino Ranch. Good.
Dino Ranch.
But they've got Doc McStuffins there. They've got Vampirina during certain points. They should have puppy dog pals. That's an injustice
Yeah,
in and of
that's-
itself.
That's a fantastic show.
But you need Bluey in Orlando specifically when I want to go in 2 years. Please.
Yeah, we're going next year, and we're like, I started thinking like they got enough time. They can get some of the mascots. They could bring out the family and walk around the park.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
How
I'm
could
burning
you
a fast
not?
pass on Bluey. I don't even care.
I don't care.
I'm like. There have been
the
times I
breakfast.
go to Disney and I see the character and I'm like, this is that character. I saw that with who did I meet? Oh, Chewbacca. I freaked out. It was Chewbacca to me. And if I saw a Bluey, I would be like, this is Bluey. This is Bluey. This is Bluey. And I don't know. I need real life Bluey.
So
Please.
the other recommendation I guess we'll give to everybody: Disney Plus. Get it, get it, get
Totally
it.
with your
It's
money.
just, it's the most watched thing in my household
Mhm.
by a long shot because I watch it, and there's a lot of things I watch on it, including Always Sunny in Philadelphia right now. But
Wait, that's on Disney Plus?
Did they
it
put
is
You have to change. I think you have to change the like.
the age. You have to
age.
change your age thing,
Oh,
it'll show
okay.
up. So for you, Wabba, it'll never show up. But Bluey, we will do a season 2, I promise. But season 2, the reason why I wanted to leave it and not just do a Bluey in review is because season 2 is gonna get very, very serious. Season 1 was serious, but season 2, it's
Like, I might
some
cry.
content.
I might cry.
Yeah,
during
it-
season
Oh,
Yeah,
we'll definitely
there
do
is
it on video
actually-
then. Good content.
two.
There is an episode in season 2 that I did cry.
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3.
Do a watch along.
Oh,
Do a live stream watch along party.
Oh, God. Okay.
yeah. If we can't
That
do
would
the
be
grandpa
interesting.
episode, I can't watch that. No, it's not happening. Anyways, I would like to thank everybody for here. Awaba would probably like to thank for not having to be the host. You're welcome.
It was nice
Matt?
just being able to sit back. I like it.
Matt, thank you as always. You're pretty much we should just call it 3 dads and Matt because you're on enough now. You could be the console. That's what we could do. We could
I'll
make a
be the
t-shirt with
console.
us and Matt could just be the console in our hands.
You're holding me in the hand.
Mhm.
Thank you for having me. Anytime. Yeah. As soon as you were like, we want to do this Bluey episode. You want to come? I'm like, yep. Just whatever. Pick a day.
You
I'm
said Bluey?
I'm in.
I'm there.
Yeah. You say Bluey? Yeah. Sure. Let's just talk about it. I'm good to go. And I'm excited for season 2. We started watching all. I mean, I think we have watched all of season 2, but it's always the thing where it's like I'm watching 5 episodes, and gotta go make food, dinner, and then I'll go back and rewind. I'm like, I haven't seen this, and they're like, we've watched it 4 times.
Same.
But,
I've missed episodes.
Great show, love it, and glad we were doing this.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.